This is Contractor Cents with Ruth King.
Welcome to Contractor Cents. Here you discover ideas, tactics, news, and information that matters to your contracting business and you. I'm your host, Ruth King. This episode is sponsored by Financially Fit Business. Get the business tool that turns your financial statements into impactful graphs that help you see your business trends to make sure you're not headed for a cash flow, profitability, or productivity issue. Go to www.financiallyfit.business and get started today. Here's how we will help your business. The challenges of growth. You might assume that growth can be fixed by hiring more people, marketing, changing software, adding more trucks, and the other conventional things that we all think about doing as we all grow. My guest today, Jenny Benbrook, has shown why these things don't solve the problem. She'll give you the real answer to grow profitably and productively. Jenny, welcome to Contractor Cents.
Ruth, it is such a pleasure to be here on your show with you. As I was just saying before we hit record, I have been a long time learner and fan of yours. So it is a pleasure to be on your podcast, providing educational content to your listeners.
Yeah. So, we're all stuck in this mode, right? We grow, we add trucks, we do more marketing, we spend more there. Your partner talked about software last time we were together and whether we really need all we've got, which is true. But you think growth is critical from a different perspective. So why don't you share that?
Yeah, growth is critical in the perspective of creating efficiencies in your business. And of course, on the software side, that's a lot of what we do is streamlining workflows, paring down tech stacks, ensuring that we're using the most of software that contractors are investing in. But the same concept is applicable through every aspect and department of a business. I believe that we're in a more economy, which is more leads, more trucks, more budget, more investment. And what that has caused us to do is not build out proper foundations that help our organizations run at an optimal level. And so when it comes to growth, we focus on the concept of continuous improvement of the systems and processes that we already have in place.
Well, let's assume I'm a little guy. I'm just playing devil's advocate here, if that's okay. And I've been running this business by the seat of my pants all by myself. I've now grown to the point where I have, 4 or 5 trucks. And what are the first processes I really need to put in place? And how do I make sure that they're still applicable as we grow to 5, 10, 15, 20 trucks?
Think about foundational processes here. And really, this is applicable for any business, but it's especially important for the emerging contractor that operates in that bootstrap mode. And one of the things that I always advise is focus on workflows that impact the customer journey. And when you think about your business in that manner, you think, where is the customer coming from? Either existing customer or new customer. How are you generating that awareness? What does the process look like when the customer calls into your business? It seems so rudimentary, but that is one of the core critical workflows that we often see being the most overlooked is what is your call booking process? What is best practice for your business? And does every person answering the phone know what that workflow is and how to represent your company?
It's how do you even answer the phone? I've had contractors over the year goes, that's not how you're supposed to answer the phone. I said, have you told them that?
That's right.
No.
That's right. That's right. And that's where we focus on growth through efficiency. But another term that I'll add in there is make sure that it's scalable. Make sure that it's documented and that as the business grows, so for the example that you just proposed, there's probably one person answering the phone. That one CSR is very easy to manage, right? It's clear who's answering the phone, how well they're doing. But what happens when you bring on the second CSR or the third? Have your processes been communicated, documented, and outlined in a format where each new employee can be trained? And that's how we start to grow scalably. It's through that workflow identification and process documentation. So once that call comes in, we know now that is our best practice. This is the workflow that we have defined on how we are going to book this call, how we are going to manage that call. We then go through the customer journey of assigning the job, dispatching, the technician arriving. And so these are all points of optimization for a contractor to consider. What is the experience that the customer will have when they're going through the journey with that company? And each step is very important in number one, high customer satisfaction, which leads to high trust. Trust because of how the lead was managed, how the call was answered, the process, the smooth dispatching process, time availability. All of those points are creating trust. And when that trust is in place, you're able to come in with a greater level of openness for job amounts when there are proper processes in place versus haphazard phone answering, maybe forgetting to call a lead back or not offering optimal times for this customer, not sending a technician photo on their way. These are all things that can start to create distrust with a customer. And as such, your technician or your salesperson will have to work that much harder once they get into the home. So if you're thinking about, again, customer journey, we've now gone through where is your lead coming from? What happens when they call in? How is that lead nurtured until the point of the in-home visit? Now we think about what happens post in-home visit. And Ruth, this is really exciting, especially on the software side from what we can see.
Okay. So let's do
One,
this. We need to
yeah,
take a break and let's talk about that piece of it after break. But before
let's
we
do it.
do, if somebody wants to reach out to you, how do they do that?
The best place to find us is through our website, mypowerhouse.group, not a .com, but a .group. So that's mypowerhouse.group.
Okay. We'll be right back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Cents.
Imagine you had total freedom. You didn't have to worry about money. You didn't have to be a slave to your business. The words, I can't, are eliminated from your vocabulary. What if you could do what you want to do, whenever you want to do it? A financially fit business could give you that freedom. How? By knowing what your financial statements are telling you and taking action based on what they say. You can do this in less than 10 minutes a month at an investment of less than taking your family out to dinner once a month. And if your financial statements are a mess, you can get help. Go to www.financiallyfit.business or click on the QR code below to get started today.
We're back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense. I'm speaking with Jenny Benbrook. And before the break, we talked about the first part of growth being processes, making sure that we have the right processes in place. And it needs to be in writing, right? Because nobody can read your mind. I mean, none of us are mind readers, so that everybody knows what's going on. And Jenny, you brought up a good point that it can't be scalable if it's all in your head.
That's right. That's right. And that's where we start to see systemic breaks in processes and growth prohibitors is when you have everyone on your team doing the work their own way. There's no consistency in that growth. And so we're huge advocates for process identification and documentation. And the example that I'm using is following those processes through every stage of the customer journey in a business, and areas that we implore contractors to focus on when they are looking to optimize or maximize their revenue growth and their margins. And a lot of it starts with the customer journey. It follows the customer journey, and it ensures that not just the owner operator, but every individual on the team understands their role in the customer journey, understands what the process is pertaining to their role, and then, of course, are utilizing software appropriately to manage those activities. So, where we stopped was after the in-home visit occurred. What happens next? And this is shockingly one of the biggest areas of missed revenue opportunity that we see here at Powerhouse, and that is no follow-up in place. So an estimate is made. It's sent out to the customer. That technician has done their job. They move on to the next one. We have seen clients coming to us, and when we look in their open estimates tab on their FSM platform, we've seen upwards of $1 million sitting in open estimates that were not followed up on. Now, if we have a proper workflow in place, if we have a process in place that says if we're doing it on the manual side, we have one person in the office whose job is to follow up on these open estimates, call the customer, send an email. Let's say you just get 10% of those closing. Imagine what that does. But if you're not diligently following up with those customers, which studies show, it can take 6, 7, 8 follow-ups to get a sale closed. And so if you don't have that process in place, of course, we recommend automating the process through your software to eliminate that laborious labor. But if you don't have that process in place, that's money being left on the table, a growth advantage.
Yes.
So follow-ups are a big one.
So are you seeing, I mean, we're talking about software right now. Are you seeing any AI software that can do that now or not?
Yeah, absolutely. You can automate your follow-ups using a variety of tools. I'm a big believer in the source of truth and optimizing and getting the most from what you're already paying for. So let's take Service Titan as an example. If you're a company that's on Service Titan has native marketing campaigns built in that you can build out and automate that customer audience. So anytime they fall into an open estimate audience, they go into an email drip campaign where they're automatically being followed up with. There are other third-party tools that integrate into primary FSMs like Service Titan, and they offer more robust features. So, for example, if you want your customer to receive an automated text message, a voicemail, and an email, you can go into a more robust tool and integrate it into your FSM platform.
Yeah, I know there's a bunch of them out there who do integrate with Service Titan and actually have agents do the follow-up for you. And they also agree with what you're saying. Don't leave it on the don't leave $1 million on the table in unfollowed up potential work. That's nuts.
That's right. That's right. And it's such a simple fix. That's an easy win that we deploy for many of our clients when they first come to us. It's a way to showcase additional revenue immediately. Um, and so knowing that, one of the things that I want to make your listeners aware of is when we're talking about all of these software solutions, to your point, there's an AI bot for everything today. Our advice is evaluate your core FSM platform first. Make sure you understand what it's offering, what it can do for you, and that you're using it to its fullest potential before you start buying additional tools. That's where we see hidden profit waste. we see underutilized tools, duplicative tools, and it starts eating into contractors' margins. So that's just a point of caution for your listeners when we're talking about maximizing workflows in the customer journey. Leverage the tools you're already paying for first before you start looking elsewhere.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think, as we have talked, or as Pam and I have talked about, there's a lot of stuff that's wasted with what you already have. Use it first.
That's right. That's right. And we see that so much. And again, Ruth, it's not just with the software tools, but when we're talking about overall growth in a contractor's business, the idea of efficiency is to eliminate waste, whether it's in hard costs like your software tools, but also in productivity. And so when we're looking at identifying workflows and processes as it affects the revenue machine of the business, the customer journey, we can really start to hone in on maximizing position roles and making each individual very sharp and efficient at the duty that they're assigned to.
Yeah. And then you would give them also some KPIs and how they're going to be evaluated, correct?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where the reporting comes in. So that's the tail end of the customer journey, thinking about how did we do, where are there areas for opportunity. So, technician KPIs, what's this technician's conversion rate, in-home conversion rate? What's his average ticket? So looking at ways to continuously improve the process by looking at overarching data through KPI reports.
That's really, really important. Jenny, give everybody the website again if they want to contact you, please.
mypowerhouse.group.
And if you'd like to talk with Jenny, that's where you reach them. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts, Ruth. We can speak for hours on this topic.
I know.
We only gave a very high level example. My final thought to your listeners is when you're looking to grow, we're looking at maximizing every opportunity in the business, and that's where true growth comes from. What we're seeing today is an overwhelm in processes, in tools, in advice. The advice is everywhere. Just open up Facebook and, you'll have 10 people telling you how to run your business. It's simple. It's hard work. It's understanding what do I need for my business uniquely, documenting it, rolling it out, and sticking to it.
Absolutely. Jenny, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much.
And thanks to all of you for joining us. Choose one thing that you discovered and implement it in your business. These ideas, tactics, and strategies help you make more money, have more free time, and give back. If you like today's program, spread the word. Please review this podcast on any device you're listening to it on. Help a fellow contractor make more money too. For comments or questions, call me at 770-729-0258 or email Ruth King at hvacchannel.tv. Thanks for listening. Have a great and profitable